be online?
You guys are, it says live.
Can you hear us? Somebody tell us. Hi.
Okay. Hopefully we're back.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
okay.
that.
All right.
I was just
good.
saying this. Thank you. Somebody said starfruit. I actually think that's like the best descriptor of this wine, and so thank you very much. Definitely, really good descriptor. And 2012. By the way, this is 2011. And 2012 will be out early next year, and that is an even riper vintage, so you're going to even get more of that apricot and peach, nectarine kind of. It's awesome. I mean, we're really happy with 2011, but 2012 is off the charts.
It's going to be amazing.
Very, very excited.
Yeah.
So, oh, and you know what? I mean, we didn't talk about it, but we are still tweaking the label. We're still playing with the label, but we really wanted. Four Vines is really all about the vines, and so there are vines on the label. But with Naked Chardonnay, it had these big old vines on the label, which really didn't speak to the stainless steel, unoaked quality of the wine, and we wanted a more naked label. So we're making it naked. However, our Derek thought it might be fun to try to take the varietal completely off the label. And we've talked him into putting it back on with the 2012 vintage. So for this vintage, you'll see it's on the back label, but he thought maybe naked unoaked could just stand on its own as its own thing. And so we tried that, and we decided that probably better to just be more upfront about the fact that it is a Chardonnay, because it's a cool thing. So we are, and we've got some fun things.
Our Maverick owner has a lot of bold ideas, but they're not all home runs.
Well, no, I mean, you know what, though? There's vigorous debate. We all work really hard together, and we like to sometimes indulge him in trying something that's a little out there, because he's been so successful at doing things differently.
Hey, Lisa, just a quickie. Just some people had audio.
Am I talking too fast?
No, you're fine. But would you do a little recap real quick about purple, just real fast, just for those that might have missed it? Just have to do it.
Really?
Yeah. Just
okay, Purple. Sorry for you guys who've heard through this before, but Purple Wine Company, founded in 2002 by Derek Benham, who's been super successful. He kind of launched affordable Merlot, grew that, and built a brand around that. Did the same thing with Pinot Noir, with Mark West, which was great Pinot.
Mark West Pinot was us.
That was us, but we sold that about a year ago. And now we have a portfolio of wines that we're focused on from $12 to $25. We don't try to be all things to all people. We look for really exciting wines that people are interested in drinking in different segments, and really trying to do the best job we can with them. And
you had mentioned like niches within varietal, and I think that describes the Naked too. I mean, there's an ocean of Chardonnay out there, but so our little Chardonnay niche is that it's unoaked.
Yeah, and we're in great.
And we were the original Naked.
Yeah, I was going to tell them about that in a second. I was going to start, but we started with the wine, but we'll get to that in just a second. But in terms of Graton, Graton is in the middle of the Russian River Valley, in the Green Valley sub-appellation, and we're surrounded by really cool wineries that are fun to visit, like Linmar, Mary Edwards, Dutton Goldfield, and Iron Horse, which is one of my favorites. They're super nice there. You can always bring people there, and they have like a wide range of wines to taste. So, and all friendly, all friends of ours. So, anyway, feel very lucky. We're all a group of folks that are kind of rebels or mavericks. A lot of us have worked for big wineries, but we like to be here, and we like to work with Derek for the reasons that you just heard. Debate. We all argue around the lunch table or dinner table about how to make these wines better, cooler, more interesting, more relevant to people. And that's why your feedback is so important to us.
We have a question from My Vine Spot.
Okay.
Just please speak about the brands and the ideology behind them and the targeted demo.
The brands and the ideology. All of the brands, or just
I think the ones.
The ones. Okay. So with Four Vines. Four Vines was started in 1998. In 1994, sorry. And it was started by, we actually acquired this winery a couple years ago. And the reason it fit in so well with us is because it was founded by two fairly maverick rebel guys who were really interested in, not in making wine complicated wines, but in making cool wines with personalities.
Fun wines.
Fun, but each wine is distinctive and each wine has its own personality. And we're trying to build on that with Naked and Truant by taking, Four Vines Naked now has its own personality. There's a little woman, our hood ornament, on the front label. We have a naked lady vine, and she's kind of our icon. She's graceful, and yet she's powerful, she's delicate, and she's beautiful, and she's sort of symbolic of this personality of this wine. And she's also head to the wind. She's out there in the front. So that's kind of the philosophy of Naked. And then with Truant, we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but we actually are tweaking that label, and there's going to be a guy vine on it, and he's kind of a surfer dude, which our owner is a huge surfer, and he's definitely a rebel. So it's sort of Derek, but he doesn't know it yet. And so, I think what we want to do is make wines that really have each one has its own niche. It's at affordable price points. They're surprised. They're wines that when you taste them, and I just did a tasting for consumers the other day, and when people find out the prices that we're charging, they're pleasantly surprised. I want to delight people with that sort of price value, and I think we share that philosophy. And we're not interested, as I said, in being all things to all people, and we're not necessarily interested in growing another Mark West, which became this monster. But we'd like a balanced group of wines that all kind of fit together and each offer something different, and we want to kind of grow them all in a long-term kind of sustainable way as we move forward as a company. We're not just looking to ramp up the next brand to like 1 million cases. I think we've all sort of settled down in our advanced years and want to just, we all love being in the wine business, and we love making these great sort of everyday drinking wines for folks, and that's who we are.
There was a question too.
Okay.
For both of you, but do you think Unoaked Chardonnay will overtake Oaked? And it's good to repeat the question.
Okay, yeah.
James, San Francisco, will Unoaked Chardonnay overtake Oaked? No way, I doubt it.
There's too many
and I find that people may like both styles, but they love one style or they love the other. My wife loves Chardonnay, but she loves the oaky, over the top, almost sweet Chardonnay, and that's her thing. And I appreciate the Unoaked Chardonnay much more than she does.
That's right. That's where you don't try to be all things. I don't think Unoaked is going to take over, but I think there's enough Unoaked drinkers out there that it's gaining momentum.
I think it's a growing.
It's growing fast.
It's a growing segment. There's a lot more brands out there that are trying Unoaked Chardonnays.
We've done some blind tastings though with wines at twice the price of Naked, the Unoaked ones, and we feel like we can definitely hold our own. So you could feel free, if you're curious about what wines they are, ask us. I
think Benito, I like your hood ornament idea.
We should make hood ornaments?
Well, yeah, for company cars, have a hood ornament that looks like
the lady? We need,
or the guy.
We want you to name her. Tell us, we may actually end up running an online contest, but we got to name Lady Naked. So that's coming. But it's very interesting, the question about whether Unoaked is going to take over. I do think Unoaked is more appealing to younger drinkers or emerging folks who are getting into wine and are more interested in exploring different types of food because it's so much more versatile. And the oak in Chardonnay can often make foods taste bitter. And one thing I was experiencing the other night at this wine and food fest, that was people were returning to our table because they were able to drink our wine with a wide range of different foods, and it wasn't actually preventing them from tasting the food. So I actually think it's gaining traction. If you look at the statistics, they're growing at a faster rate than the oaked Chardonnay. If you look at the rates on like Nielsen or scan data. So that's a really, really good question though, and something we're very interested in. So, anything else? Do you have to declare major? Oaked and unoaked? No, I think there's room. There's some producers of very oaky, buttery, big Chardonnays. There's times for that, like plain grilled salmon and you want one of those things, and there's plenty of fans of those big styles out there, you know, folks that to support them, they'll still be around. Anyway, anything else?
I think we got them covered.
Okay. Ready to move
Talk
on?
about Truant?
I like it when you talk about the wine first, and then we can talk about the marketing piece.
sure.
I think that's working.
Truant, Old Vine Zinfandel. It is a California appellation, but we really do source grapes from all the great Zin growing regions within California that you can think of. So right here at home, Sonoma County, Dry Creek Valley in the Sonoma County, we've got some Dry Creek Valley Zin going into the Truant. Lodi, which often doesn't get enough love, but there are some really old vineyards with a lot of character, a lot of great wine comes out of Lodi. And Paso Robles, which is where the brand was started, and we kept the connections with the vineyard growers and stuff from the original starter of the Four Vines brand. So a lot of Paso Robles, even a little bit of Mendocino fruit goes in there to the north of here. So we cover, and Amador, of course, Amador, a lot of Amador Zin goes in here. So we have your Zin appellations covered in the Truants.
Well,
And
it's kind of a collect. I mean, we make Maverick and Sophisticate and a Biker, which are individual appellations, and from this we take the best and combine them, so it's a blend.
Yeah. You know, on the nose, I get a lot of sort of spicy, savory aromas coming through, and that may be more the Amador coming through in the nose. But as soon as you taste it, I mean, it's juicy berry, plum. It's all the Zin fruit flavors you could look for.
You're a Zin guy too. You've had a lot of experience with other
yeah.
really top wineries. It's worked for some really top, you know.
I worked for Dry Creek Vineyards in Dry Creek, so I'm used to Dry Creek and the Alexander Valley Zin fruit. Murphy Good, made Liar's Dice for 4 years. I like Zin.
Got a good
Zin's fun.
pedigree. There's also some other varietals in here, so you could probably talk about that. But
Yeah, it's true blend. It's not just a blend of appellations, but I mean, it may be 77 to 80% Zin, but of course we've got Syrah, a little bit of Sangiovese, Petite Sirah, of course, is in there. Some of the vineyards are your older field blend sort of vineyards, so there's, you know, you can't quite give a percent on what is in there besides Zin, but there's other stuff growing in there too. And you know, people talk about a spice cabinet. Each of those other varieties that go into it sort of add their own little bit of spice to the overall blend.
And we felt like with Truant, we wanted a wine that didn't have to follow rules, because these other wines that we have, Mavericks from Amador, Bikers from Paso, Sophisticates from Sonoma County, and we have a certain personality for each of those wines and wine style. But with Truant, it gets to just be its own thing, and it's really a winemaker's wine. It's the wine that the winemakers get to make what they want to do. So it's.
And if there's some wine people out there that really know sort of vineyards and famous growers, you know, down from the Paso region, we do have some juicy fruit that goes into here, and in Preston, and up in Amador, I've gone blank, but the
I can look them up.
yeah, the
But anyway,
famous grower up there.
we're never going to get to Alto Cinco. How are we on time? Are we good?
You're fine. You've got 23
Oh, okay.
minutes.
Good.
23 minutes.
God,
Yeah.
last time we did this, it seemed like I felt like, oh my God, how are we going to fill up all this time? And now we have like too much to talk about. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing.
And don't forget to some of the demographic audiences per the brands, because I know you touched on.
Oh, who we're
I don't
targeting?
think we got it really answered from before.
Yeah,
Fully.
we will fully, yes, we'll talk about that more. But yeah, So this is a blend. It's got field blend components in it. We're not restricted to geography on this. We basically told the winemakers make what you want.
Yeah.
And for me, in terms of this wine and how I see it on a food and wine pairing level, I think this wine is a flavorful wine. It's a bold wine, and you need to have bold food to go along with it. And I just think this is, it's perfect with flavorful, rich cuts of meat, like a grilled skirt steak with like chimichurri sauce or something like that. I think it would be really, really good. It goes well with kind of like mainstays like chili, like a great burger. It would be perfect. Could do Korean short ribs or any kind of ribs. Do we have a rib recipe on our website? I thought we did. Yeah. Dante's saying yes. And then I also think it does well with sort of like North African spices, like cumin, coriander, those types of dishes. I have a tagine at home, and I make a lot of things like North African chicken recipes, and I really love Zin with those types of foods. So anybody else has some great suggestions?
My Vine Spot's got a good question. Production levels on each of the wines, and I don't really remember, but they're both the Four Vines are like in the 40,000 case range.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So.
Yeah, they're not.
And consistency year to year, that mainly comes from sourcing the same fruit year after year. The Naked Chardonnay will definitely taste consistent year to year. Even though we just talked about 2012 being a warmer year, so you're going to have a little bit more of that riper stone fruit flavors than in the 2011 you're tasting now. But the Truant is also consistent year to year. And that comes to the fruit sourcing, but also blending. I mean, if you're doing a single vineyard Zin, you're going to get a lot more fluctuation vintage to vintage than if you're doing a blend, because you're adding layers and layers of so many more components that if one little vineyard is different year to year, it's not going to be such a noticeable change in the blend overall.
Spicy burritos was another.
Spicy burritos, thank you, and thank you, James.
Yeah.
You said great name and price point, so that's thank you. Yeah, in terms of demographic, it's kind of interesting, or who the target market is, because I really think, I think there's one component is age, and sort of age segments, but I also think it's really, for us, I'm interested in going after the wine experimenter, not the badge drinker, not the traditionalist. Although we do find that we have fans who, when they go out, they may be looking for the the Wine Spectator top 100 wine, but for everyday drinking, they know enough about wine to want something better and something that's going to always deliver. But I was interested this last weekend when I was at this event in San Francisco, because the demographic was probably more in the 30s, somewhere mid-20s to mid-30s, and these were folks that were just totally interested in wine, but they didn't have a lot of hang-ups about wine, and they were very, very knowledgeable about food. And I thought, the feedback I got was, they really want balance, and that's exactly what we're looking for, and our wines really seem to resonate because they're not complicated, they're easy to understand. We've always gone after an idea that the wine has to be very simple to understand, and simple actually for our those that support us out in the sales world to be able to translate, because it's like a game of telephone. If you have this really complicated story, by the time it gets through the distributor and the salesperson to the person who's on the floor selling the wine,
the story's changed.
And so we make it so it's pretty straightforward and easy to understand. And if you knew our owner Derek, he's not a wine snob. He loves wine and he wants to have fun, and so I think he's looked for folks who share that philosophy with him, and we all feel that way. I have in my career sold really incredibly sought after wines that sell for thousands of dollars a case, and I've bought wines at Christie's auctions, and I just love making these kind of wines. So I'm working with winemakers who want to do that.
So we have on the Truant and Alto Cinco Pepper Brown Naked wine, called Taco. And someone had this with dessert, fruit cobbler, the Truant, because it was really great with fruit cobbler.
It's the blackberries. Wow, well thank you. That's actually cool because there's not that many wines, you know, the fruit has to be, everything kind of has to be balanced.
Doesn't have to be a dessert one to go with dessert.
No. Built for the experimenter. And just boring drinkers need not apply. All right, are we ready to move on? Is there anything else that
I got most of the comments. There's a lot of comments about the next wine, which we'll share.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to shuffle my notes a little bit. I'm sorry. Can we make it so that we can actually see the screen too?
Hit the mouse button.
You need to see yourself.
Well, I can actually see the comments a little bit easier on here.
Oh, don't worry, we're not missing anything.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Don't worry about that.
fine. So, where do we begin? Begin on Alto Cinco?
So talk about the brand.
Okay.
I mean, you really, this is, again, why it's fun to work with marketing here, because you really develop the label and the brand and everything. We do have a former Henry Wine Group person, Peter Bedecker, who is working with Purple Wine Company now. And it's one of those things, like we talked about earlier, Purple sort of looks for niches within varietals and stuff, and yeah, a lot of other people are importing a Garnacha from Spain, but Peter felt like, you know, with Purple's sort of distribution and setup and our marketing, we could come up with a really good one ourselves, and I think we did.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually, and somebody earlier asked that what our company's philosophy is about wine and developing new wines. And Alto Cinco, we felt like it wasn't so much about Spain, which, by the way, is totally cool, and it's growing faster, I think, than just about certainly any country in Europe, old world country. It's a huge opportunity. It offers price value. But it wasn't so much about Spain, but because there was this wine from Spain called Garnacha that we just felt like could be one of the next greatest things, because it's so delicious. And one of the things that you see in wine experimenters is they're going after, and they like big flavors. And maybe it's we've got a generation of folks that have grown up with, Pete's Coffee and more flavorful foods now, local ingredients, and they're used to, these delicious big flavors, but Garnacha is one of those wines that offers big, ripe flavor, and it's a part of the world that's just being discovered, and so you have this amazing price value with these old vine grapes that you don't see in other places. So it was, we started off first as, okay, what's next? And then this opportunity came up, and we have an expert on that part of the world, and so we sought out a place where we thought we could really develop a wine that reflected who we are. And then, we had to come up with this name, and I actually got the inspiration from, I have to, full disclosure, from Stephen Colbert, who I was watching one night, and doing a skit, and it was terrible Spanglish, and I thought, oh, this is kind of funny. Let's not try to actually be Spanish, but we actually thought of doing this as just a Garnacha and not even putting Spain on the front label. And then I was like, we need to embrace Spain and do a tribute to Spain with this wine, but not try to be Spanish. So I thought with Alto Cinco, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek.
So Alto Cinco, high five.
It doesn't really mean high five in Spanish. It would be, listen, pardon my non-Spanish, but it's like chocolat or dame cinco are the actual ways to say high five. But it actually is from the highest elevations in the growing area where it's from, and there are 4 DOs or appellations of origin, denominación de origen in Spanish, in that area. And this part of it, of the Carignano where we're going, is so distinctive that we felt like it could be a fifth appellation. So that's Alto Cinco. But the label, and I'll start out with the marketing on this, there's actually a lariat on the front. And the idea is kind of, the label doesn't take itself quite too seriously. It's got a lot of traditional feeling to it with the colors of the Aragon flag, which is the area that Carignano is located in the Spanish Aragon region. So we've got the Aragon flag, and we've got this sort of metal on the front, and this real traditional feeling, and yet it's kind of flamboyant, and that's what I love about Spain. You've got Gaudi, you've got Almodóvar, and the sort of eccentricity of Spain and their creativity combined with this great tradition, and that's what we wanted to capture in the wine. And so
Lots of Garnacha lovers on this.
they are.
Yeah, it's a great wine. It's fun, and whoever said, and it may have been Peter, or it may have been even Derek, the owner, when they said, "Oh, let's do a Grenache and let's do it from Spain," everyone's like, "Yeah."
So
That's a great idea.
Garnacha is actually one of the most widely planted grapes in the world, and a lot of people think that it came from the Rhone, where its highest expression is in, some of the great wines are Grenache. Chateauneuf de Pape fans out there? I'm like a huge Chateauneuf de Pape fan. So anyway, it actually came from Spain, from this area. And while the Carignano, where we're sourcing this wine, is actually the word for Carignan, the Grenache that grows in this area is, this wine comes from 30 to 100-year-old vines, is the finest expression of grape growing in this area. It's just so amazing. As you drive in, and Panizza, the village where we're getting this, where we're making this wine, is located just about 30 minutes outside of Zaragoza, or Zaragoza, as they say there, and as you drive between, it's sort of midway between Barcelona and Madrid on the Ave. So you drive in, and as you're on the train, you can see it sort of transforms the landscape from Barcelona, which is hot and humid, or cool and humid, sort of maritime. It gets drier, it gets more like Arizona, kind of the desert, and then the hills open up, and all of a sudden you see almost like a mountain range, and that's where Carignano is, in the village of Panizza. And what's really cool about this area, because I've worked with growers in France and in Italy, and they have a little bit different system in Spain, where people inherit larger vineyards than they do in these other places where they keep dividing them between all the kids. And so the folks who own the vineyards where we're sourcing this wine also work at the winery, and they are very, very involved in the growing and the production of this wine, and there's a huge pride involved in making the wine. And we worked very, very closely with them. This isn't just wine that we went and picked out some barrels in their cellar.
Yeah, this isn't just something that we went over there and we're importing a label. I mean, Lisa worked and designed the whole package, and the way it works is we work with a co-op over there, which is actually a very common thing in Europe and even in South Africa. When I was down there, there's a lot of co-ops, and the way a co-op works is all local growers in the region, they will bring their grapes to this one co-op. Co-op ferments everything, and then they sell the wine to other wineries or people like us coming in looking to make an imported product. So our winemaking team went over there and actually, tasted through all the different barrel lots and picked the wines that we like and started to make a blend. You'll see there's a little Tempranillo in there too. We thought, again, looking at the spice cabinet, it adds a little something. The wine itself, for starters, has that typical Kirsch cherry fruit bomb sort of nose. But you throw a little Tempranillo in there and you darken that a little bit. So you're, it's like a palette of paints. You're just playing around. A lot more tannin, a lot more structure than say the Truant Zinfandel, but that's balanced by all the weight and everything you get on the palate as well.
There are a couple things that set this wine apart from other wines, even from the same area. One is that because the village of Penisa sits at a much higher elevation than any of the other villages in the area, they harvest a lot later, and it's got a lot more swings from day to night temperature. And so what you actually get is a much richer, mouth-filling wine with more viscosity at a lower alcohol level. So it's only 14% alcohol, and a lot of the Garnacha from Carniana are over 15, which I really appreciate. I don't know about you all, but I'd rather have maybe a second glass and feel actually good the next day.
Yeah,
so
this is
yeah.
Not that high.
Yeah, which is considering the amount of flavor and the amount of viscosity you get. The other piece is the wine is actually barrel aged in oak, and you get the complexity. There's more complexity. There's more there, and that's part of the tannin, the structure.
Yep.
So it's not just a fruit bomb, a jammy fruit bomb, but it's a wine that actually has complexity. It's interesting, and it's a wine that you really come back to in the glass. This is our other house wine right now. We're really enjoying it. And I'm actually married to a high-tech person who's not a wine drinker. And he loves this wine. It's just, it's a wine that I think can really be something that a non-wine drinker can appreciate for the deliciousness of it. And a sophisticated person will enjoy the fact that it's complex and it's low, it's got this
varietally
mouthfeel.
correct.
Yeah.
You go looking for Grenache, and it's got the Grenache flavor.
And the difference with the co-ops that I've worked with is I've never worked with a co-op, though, where everybody from the co-op actually works at the winery, and they're so involved, and they're so proud that we put the name of their village on the label. They're just delighted, and they're not really bringing wine into the United States right now. Their big markets were the UK and Germany, and those markets are really low-end markets, and so they weren't able to put the type of oak aging, the type of selection for those markets that they are to the United States. So we're a much better partner for them. Moving forward, they're very excited about it. So, and now we're going to be making wine with them this harvest. So,
yeah.
Some other comments from the group in general. Mild cherry, lots of very levels of cherry, right by the plum. People say a go-to backyard of summer barbecue wine. And another person said, one of the most underrealized red variety.
Yeah.
and I can't tell you how much fun it's been for me and a learning experience. I've sort of grown up with French wine first as a sommelier, and then kind of expanded to Italy, and now I'm working on my Spanish, but I spent time in Barcelona, I spent some time in Madrid, and understanding the food and how wonderful it is. We have a great recipe for bread and tomatoes on our website, and we're going to add, on the Alto Cinco website, we're going to add a lamb recipe that's very typical of the Carniana pretty soon. But if you have a chance to go over to Barcelona, take a side trip to the Carniana region, and you will really, it's really phenomenal.
So a question from my vine spot. The average consumer of Chardonnay in Vinewell is multiple sub-Spanish brands of US.
Yeah, it is. And,
Question.
it's a really, okay, the question is it harder to sell Garnacha than it is to sell Chardonnay and Zin? And one of the things that's come back from our sales team that's out now launching, because this is just launching right now, is that they really feel like, particularly in less sophisticated markets, so not the big metro areas in the Northeast where they're pretty familiar with this wine in the more sophisticated wine shops, lead with Garnacha and tell them all about what Garnacha is. And that's the feedback that we've been getting, is that we need to talk about Garnacha more, and Spain less, because Spain is pretty obscure, like where is it, where is this place, you don't really understand it. And I think that's going to be something that we need to talk about. And we're talking about how to talk about that right now, but it's, in terms of demographic, one of the things that we found very interesting is that the research actually shows, I have here, it's 45% of 21 to 24-year-olds drink Spanish wine versus 29% of adult wine consumers overall. So Spanish wine drinking is skewing to younger consumers, and it's actually bringing some young consumers into wine drinking. So we think that's also going to be really kind of a fun opportunity, especially being in California and having a lot of folks who speak Spanish, who are interested in wines, trying new wines. I think it's going to be a fun opportunity for us to look at. Any other ideas that you have, though? We're very interested in how we might get this wine, get the word out.
So we I would say if we can do about 5 minutes, we have to give a little bit more time since we have to start.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other comments about the wine?
Comments, questions?
This
Just hang on, people will pop on.
on Saturday night at SF Chefs at Union Square, we ran out of this wine. I ran out of it before the tasting ended, and people were bringing their friends back to try the wine, and they were very excited about it. So I don't know, I'm pretty jazzed. It's something different. The case shipper that we have, the box that it's in, is really bright too. It's yellow. It's got that bright banana yellow and orange, red on it. And I don't know, I think we're going to have fun being kind of playful with this, and still we want to get across that we want to be serious.
People wine snob recommends putting the Garnacha and Grenache somewhere on the package to help people.
Yeah, I think when we verbally talk about the wine, we interchange the two terms.
But and we're talking about on the packaging. Actually, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And then the other question actually I have for all of you is, do you think instead of putting Panizza and Carignana on the front, what about Old Vine? Would that be more better information to have on the front label instead of, we wanted the sense of place, but we're actually thinking about that now and wondering if that's something worth putting up on the front. I love this. It gives good feedback. It really is, and actually we didn't mention this, but it's kind of cool that there's two different types of soil. The lower elevations have this red soil. It's absolutely, it's ochre colored, it's gorgeous, and the grapes that grow in this lower area are 30 to 50 years old, and they're fleshier, they're richer, they're riper. And then interestingly enough, the ones at the higher elevations, and I don't know, did we post some pictures on our website of these different vineyards? We have them on the Alto Cinco site. You can see them. It's almost like it's chatted up to top. They're boulders. They're rocky. There's nothing growing on them. These are very sustainably farmed, by the way. You don't have to use pesticides, herbicides, because there's no weeds growing in these vineyards. And so, but what we found was the 70-year-old to 100-year-old vines on these higher elevations, they're really interesting and very intense, but they're a little more austere, and we felt like the best wine that we could make was a combination of these, 30-year-old and 70-year-old vines made this really wonderful and happy marriage. So that's kind of how we went about it. But they're definitely old vines, and when you see these like acres and acres of old vines that they have, that it's just been sort of this untapped gem waiting to be discovered.
So people have said they like having the place on the front label and old vine is important to consumers.
Okay, so we can do both. I have them on the back, on the front.
It sounds like old vine is
In fact,
like that.
Oh, okay.
Peter had mentioned to me what the name of because they have head pruned vines over there too. You know, in California, we're always talking about our head pruned Zin vines and old vines and things like that. And a lot of these Garnacha vines are head pruned too. And the Spanish word for it is like upside down goblet is what the translation is. I forget what the actual term is though, but I'll have to ask Peter again. But that was kind of fun work too. That's, yeah.
On the back label.
Oh, that's actually a
That's
really
a good idea too.
People want to know, and it is kind of hard to explain. We're halfway between Barcelona and Madrid, but it's a big, you know, on the Ave it's only, I think, an hour and a half, 2 hours. But if you drive, it's like driving across from LA to San Francisco or to Stockton. So it's a hike, and culturally and geographically, it's kind of a world apart from either Barcelona or Madrid. They're probably closer to Barcelona culturally. I mean, the Aragon's one of the sort of the birthplace of Spain. It was the so. Actually, that's a really good point. We are not open to the public, our winery.
We don't have a tasting room.
Well, and we're talking about it. There's a couple things that we're working on right now that we haven't done in the past. One is direct to consumer, and we're also working on and in a tasting room. That might very well happen in the near future. But in the meantime, we would love to see you. We would be very happy to show you around. So for folks in the trade, we'd be happy to give you a tour and take you down the street to Underwood or Willowwood. So let us know when you're in town. And
just thanks. This will have been a lot of fun.
It's really fun, and we're learning every time we do it. So we appreciate your teaching us too as we go.
And if you do come visit, we get some faces with the cool blogger names that are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last question. Just hearing favorite food pairing with the trio. Was there one food that you think would go with everything, or Lisa? Question to repeat it.
Oh yeah, there was a food that I had on Saturday night. Can I say one of my favorite things? Oh my God, it was a saffron infused gnocchi from roast pistola shaved with truffle on it, and it was so good. And it would go with all three wines, but you know,
what was that top?
Shaved with the truffle, and it was saffron infused, and there was some sort of like a broth around it, but it was just fantastic. It may even be on the Roast Pistola website or on their menu, but that's what they served the other day. And I was actually telling people with the Alto Cinco in their glass to go over and grab it. But actually, I think all three wines. You know what? Actually, paella.
Sure.
Because the seafood would work so well with the Naked and the citrus in it. The Zin would stand up with the sausage and the strong, saffron flavors, and then obviously Alto Cinco would be so great with the acidity, with the berry fruit, would be unbelievable. So, paella. We should probably do a paella recipe on our thing too. I had some amazing paella when I was in Madrid. Bye, everybody. Yeah, so anyway, we're just signing off. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll do one of these again soon.
Enjoy the wines.